This is the Weekly Scramble, a place where we chat about life over a cold one or two. It's time to belly up to the pod with Mike Fratelloni and your host, Chris Reavers.
That's right. It's time for the Weekly Scramble podcast. My name is Chris Reavers. With me, as always, his name is Mike Fratelloni. Hello, Michael.
How you doing, Reavers?
I'm okay. I'm doing good. You know, I got to tell you, there's been so many things that have circulated, whether it's social media, in the news, and I try to do my best to just get some downtime whenever I can. But in this walk of life that we've chose in the broadcast/podcast world, it's tough to avoid any and all nonsense. But I really have to tell you, we are now, less than a week away from the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And I'm sitting here thinking, you would think that the tidal wave of the emotion and the raw energy and whether you're on this side or that side or whatever, why is the vitriol not calming down? And I say that because I'm seeing so many posts from so many different people in so many different walks of life, and I'm thinking, why does it compel you to make whatever statement you're trying to make in either fashion? On the positive end or on the negative end, I don't get it. I really, really don't, because I think there's a certain section of our society that is demented to the point where they think that this is their moment to take that stance. Does that make any sense?
Do you okay, so I think what you're talking about is when someone says something dumb on social media, right?
Yep.
When they say, "Oh, I'm glad he's dead," or "Hopefully he dies," or whatever people wrote. I mean, we have hundreds of thousands, maybe not hundreds of thousands, but hundreds or thousands of these videos that I've seen.
Yep.
And I think, what would compel someone to do that on social media? Do they think that every single person is going to agree with them? Right? Do they think, hey, all of my friends think that's a good thing that Charlie Kirk was murdered? Right? And when they put something up, and what I find baffling, Reavers, is these are not losers. These are not lone wolf type people. These are educators, deans of students.
People that work in healthcare.
You're putting something online and you're at a school with 800 students and you think a parent's not going to say, "What did you just say?" You think it's okay to murder someone over their freedom of speech?
But you also think that no one's going to see it. You also almost think that the only people that are going to see this are the people that fall in line with my ideology.
But I find it so perplexing. I didn't really understand freedom of speech, Reavers, because I was kind of had a weird thing about it. I thought people can say, if someone hops online and says, "I'm glad Charlie Kirk is dead," they have the complete and utter right to do that, right?
Sure.
The government should not intervene with their First Amendment right to express ideas, opinions, and beliefs, right?
Yep.
Without government censorship or punishing you. So the government can 100% not do anything about that. And I think that's extremely important. More free speech is better free speech. The more free speech you hate, the better it is. Meaning, if someone says something you really hate, the more you hear it, the better. Because then it means you can say something back, right? That they can't censor you. But what I really didn't really correlate is the freedom to react, right? Freedom of speech does not mean you're free from consequences. So when you say something like that, and some business or your boss at the school, the principal at the school fires you, you're done. There's nothing you can do about that. They have the complete and utter freedom to react to what you say.
Because you're a representation of that particular entity.
Absolutely.
You're an employer. You guys have a standard. You guys have a policy that you, as an employer, same thing that I have here at Hubbard Broadcasting. If I don't meet the requirements of that policy, that's their right to dismiss me in that regard.
So did you see the Staples story where a guy went into Staples and he was trying to print, he was asking to print a memorial picture, a poster of Charlie Kirk saying always legendary or something, a picture of Charlie Kirk, and then the dates from 1993 or whatever till 2025. I'm forgetting the exact date. And sadly, the employees said, "We don't print political propaganda. We just don't do it." And a guy came back because he was so thrown off by that. He came and he said, "Wait, time out. I'm asking you, like, I want to really get you to understand this. This is the poster I'm trying to print. A picture of Charlie Kirk, always legendary, the dates that he was born and died, and you're not printing it because it's political propaganda. And the guy at the Staples says, we're just not doing it. We just don't do it. And it turns out that Staples fired the guy, right? And that Staples got a bunch of crap for it. And I think that's a little unfair.
Sure.
I think that's a little unfair. Staples has thousands of employees. Employees have their own free will, right? I don't think it's the right thing for them to do. Like the employees, I don't think they should be able to say, hey, we're not printing that because that's political propaganda. We don't want to print that here. But one man's political propaganda is another man's tribute to someone dying.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's a really tough thing because do I agree with the people at Staples, the kids that work at Staples, to say we're not printing that? No. But boy, you don't want to start having to fire every single employee that disagrees with you.
Yeah.
That's not gonna work out for anybody well.
So I found the piece that I was looking for, and unfortunately I apologize. I was not familiar with this gentleman until I discovered this over the weekend. But I thought that this was really apropos of the conversation we're having right now. His name is John Podhoretz. And I was not familiar with him, but he is a journalist and a conservative political commentator. But he absolutely nailed this over the weekend. And it was in relation to what we were just talking about with Charlie Kirk and online posting. And he just basically says this. Here's the danger of social media. It allows people to publish their internal monologues. Our internal monologues and fantasies are often incredibly ugly. People go to therapists because they feel so guilty about them. And one of the tasks of a therapist is to explain. And I thought, he's 100%
100% right. 100% right.
This just cut off. Allow me a minute to just kind of grab.
Well, the
this here.
simple fact is if you looked at my inner dialogue and I was impetuous enough to just throw it up online, that would not be good.
Thoughts are not actions. You can rage in your thoughts about your brother or someone at work, even fantasize about them dying, but you have done nothing and are guilty of nothing, and you need to forgive yourself and learn how to calm yourself down. This is, I imagine, what Catholic confession is for, though you are, I gather, obliged to do penance for your evil thoughts. But remember, they are still inside of you. Mm-hmm. They are between you and you alone. Since 2007, people have a means of externalizing that interior monologue. And this means something. A researcher at MIT saying, rather than thinking, I really want to see that video of Charlie Kirk dying again because it works better than my antidepressant, end quote, has become a public act. I see it. I am affected by it. The public discourse is as well. My sense of how the world works and what people are really like undergoes a change. I become rageful and believe people who think this way are evil. It's likely they are not. They just have a means of externalizing the parts of them that no one ever saw. But another human tendency, the tendency to extrapolate from individual samples to the whole, kicks in then as well. Mm-hmm. I will assume that anyone and everyone, like that MIT researcher, is an enemy of everything good and is unsalvageable. In that way, my world shrinks. The part of him that dehumanizes Charlie Kirk and turns his assassination into a joke then threatens to dehumanize me in a way. And seriously, before social media, I would never even know he existed, or that he thought what he thought, and that was better for him and me. Every use of every man in his desert, Hamlet says, and who should share and escape and whipping, meaning if the world knew what was going on inside of us, we would all be punished viscerally for it. And until 2007, for the most part, the world would never, ever know. That is so brilliantly explained. Because we all have had thoughts, good, bad, indifferent, whatever. But now because of the fact that we can all do it in a snapshot, in our phones, in a split second for the world to see, it's just in some cases making us a much, much worse place.
I can give you a real world example of that.
Damn, I did not know we were going to get this.
Can I give
right
you
away.
a real world example?
Please do.
This last weekend, it was Parents' Weekend at the University of South Carolina.
Okay.
And
already?
Yep.
All right.
And walking around the University of South Carolina during Parents' Weekend, I had inner monologues going on, looking at these beautiful people, all of them. All the kids look great. And I thought, please God, don't ever develop something that looks at my eyeballs to see where I'm looking for a fraction of a second when 7 chicks walk by dressed to the T's going to this SEC football game.
So you're saying you're still wearing sunglasses at 9:30 p.m.?
Honest to God, Reavers, I was trying my hardest to keep my head just straight, looking forward, turning to looking at my wife, looking at my daughter, looking at her friends, and just saying, yep, I'm in this zone. And I thought, please don't develop some IT mechanism that can say, Fratelloni looked at 743 asses in the last 4 hours.
Right.
It's not even that I'm trying to do it, but I'm just a guy who just has that instinct to kind of do this. Like those of you who are watching, watch. Right? What I did is I looked down to the left for a fraction of a second. It was funny. We were walking into the airport, right? In South Carolina. My wife's a beautiful woman. She's a beautiful woman.
Absolutely
She
is,
also likes to walk at about 5.5 miles per hour. I like to walk at about 4 miles per hour. And she just leaves me in the dust. I don't think she wants to be seen with me, to be honest. She just wants to be ahead of me, just walking. So she's walking ahead of me.
Too, huh?
Yeah, yes. She's walking ahead of me at the same pace as a guy walking on one of those sidewalks, those moving sidewalks in the airport.
Yep.
And this guy is checking her out, reverse. Every 5 seconds, he's just staring at her for 10 seconds, looking forward, staring at her for 10 seconds, looking forward, staring at her for 10 seconds. And I'm laughing because my wife is oblivious to this. But
you're a guy and you notice this.
I know.
Yes.
I see what he's doing. And to be perfectly honest, if I wasn't with my wife and I saw her walking, I would be looking at her too, looking at the same way this guy was doing it. I'd be looking over. And those are inner monologues I have. I didn't go post it on the internet, just saw a beautiful 22-year-old at the USC game. I didn't do that, right? But people, like you said, just blurt this shit out. And they say something, and sometimes they might have a little bit of regret. Sometimes they have no concept that other people won't feel this way. And people are getting their lives destroyed because you are not free from the reaction when you have your freedom of speech.
And I guess that's the part that I find so fascinating. And maybe it's just because I probably might have made the same mistake if I had something like social media when I was 15 years old.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, I did not. I mean, I fought against a cell phone when I was 22. I didn't want one.
Sure.
I thought, no, I'm going to be the last guy to get one. I don't need this technology bearing me down, and I don't want this social media. I mean, granted, it is fun and whatever, but I'm just thinking, so my brain development is different than those who have been exposed to it since they were 5, 6, 7 years old. I'm fighting that battle right now with 2 young boys saying, no, you're not having this yet. I'm sorry, that's not happening to you. But so I get why someone that makes that type of mistake is then all of a sudden shocked, going, "Wait a minute, I just lost my job for yeah, you idiot."
Yeah, you can lose your job for something like that.
You are, yes, as you've mentioned a number of times, that's what makes this country great. Is free speech, and it should never be restricted. However, you have a thought-making process and a decision-making process that's going to lead to consequences if you decide to, quote-unquote, post the wrong thing. And that employer has the right then to say, yep, you have every right to post whatever you want. We are no longer going to choose you to represent our company.
Sure. Yeah, it's that law of unintended consequences. I'm going to post something horrible and not think about the consequences of losing all my friends on social media. Maybe that's not a big deal. Having someone forward it to your employer and say, does this person work for you? Right. And having the employer say, that person wishes that all Republicans would be killed. Good luck to you, right? And it's a slippery slope. I personally, the team that we have at our company, I don't want to know their personal opinions.
Right.
I don't want to know their politics. They don't want to know mine, and I don't want to know theirs. I think I'm right in the middle. I really do, Reavers. You might not think of that when you listen to this show. I think I'm smack dab in the middle. It's core garage logic right in the damn middle. Not everybody would think that. Right? Not everybody would think that. But I don't want to know. I want to have, one time we had a guy wear one of those red Make America Great hats into the store. He had his uniform on. He was walking around the store, right? Half the customers coming in called me on the phone and said, hey, he can't wear that. I called my guy up. This was years ago. This was in 2016. I said, hey, you can't wear that. And he goes, why not? And I said, that's not what we do here. We don't pick any side here. We're hardware stores. We're agnostic. No one needs to know about what you believe. We don't ask our customers what they believe when they come in. They shouldn't be indoctrinated or asked to pay attention to it on the inside. It's a very slippery slope for companies. But when people put up stuff that's just disrespectful and disgusting, boy, the freedom to react is there, baby. It can happen to you. Be careful.
And I will say this, too, because there was a lot of thoughts and opinions shared based upon the post that Charlie's widow decided to post. I can't remember if it was Saturday or Sunday. I can't remember. It was over the weekend. Just basically talking about how, this message isn't dying, meaning the one from him. Like, he may no longer be with us. And I thought, I had two different reactions to that. Number one was, holy cow, like that took a lot of bravery. And
get up and give a speech. Your husband was just cut down.
Exactly. And everybody grieves differently. So I'm not here to cast judgment in any regard. And I just thought, wow, that took a lot of gumption. And then I also thought, well, that's probably the prevailing thought and the prevailing mantra of what he represented. And she's probably just trying to live that on, saying, you're not going to win. You being the evil people that want to tear him down and tarnish his legacy, where, no, I'm the only thing now that stands in line of saying, no, this message will continue and this march will still continue to go on. And I just thought, wow, that took something that I probably don't possess, right? I probably don't have that within me.
Let me add one thing too. If she was a true believer in Christ, if she was a true believer, which I believe Charlie and her were, she might really believe, and I'm not saying this is wrong or right, that he's in the best spot, that he's with Jesus, right?
Probably.
And all of a sudden you're like, oh, wait, if you're in heaven and you're watching over our family and I'm going to miss you, it's sad, but you're in heaven, right? Maybe there's something to that for her that gave her that strength. I do know that Turning Point USA, Charlie Kirk's organization, has had 30,000 people request to open another Turning Point chapter at their school. I actually have been seeing a lot of, you can get his shirts, you can get, okay, I'm going to make a correlation, Reavers, and walk me back from this edge. But I don't know if I should say this, because I wasn't there when Martin Luther King was murdered. Right? I wasn't there when that happened.
Right.
But I sure know what Martin Luther King became in the years after his murder. Right? He became much stronger, I believe. Excuse my ignorance if I don't know this topic. Right? I think he became much stronger as a martyr for the cause than he might have been if he would have continued to live. Right?
Sure.
Not saying it was a good thing. I'm just saying that's what happened. Is it possible, and what do you think about this, that Charlie Kirk will become much stronger after he was assassinated?
I will say this. I don't know the answer to that question, but here's how...
We both don't know. We're too young.
But here's how I'll respond to that. I do think that two different things are happening as a result of the horrific incident that took place in Utah. Number one is you're really seeing the underbelly of people that you may or may not know, and seeing, boy, that's a vile response to a horrific incident. And so you're kind of seeing the light in, ooh, that's a person that I don't really care for anymore, or whatever. The other thing is you're seeing the good in people. And what I mean by that is, and this comparison has been made a number of times, and I'll bring it here. When the George Floyd incident happened in 2020, what did we see? We saw rioting. We saw looting. We saw, billions of dollars worth of damage to our own backyard, for crying out loud. We saw a lot of that in response to that unfortunate situation. But what did you see here? You saw prayer. You saw, there was no violence. There was no anger. There was prayer. There was hope. There was encouragement. And honest to God, I really think that might have been a revelation, at least to me anyway. I don't know if it affected anybody else the same way, but I thought, holy cow, there is a better response than what we saw 5 years ago, right? There's a better way to go about this business. And again, unfortunately, a father lost his life. His daughters aren't going to see him again. And I just thought, but the way that certain sections of society responded to that, I think, was truly eye-opening to me. I mean, I was inspired by it, because I thought, well, this is just unspeakable. A guy was shot and killed for just having the audacity to have an open conversation for people that he may or may not have agreed with.
And one of the creepiest things I've found out about this whole thing is the murderer, Tyler Robinson.
Yep.
Tyler.
Yep.
He looked pretty normal. He sounded kind of normal when he talked.
Yeah.
I did hear, and I don't know if this is true or not, that his partner was a transgender male. Is that what you've heard?
That is the rumor. Yes.
That is a rumor. That's not verified. I don't know if that really means anything, but the kid looked like a lot of American kids. It just growing up in Utah with a Republican family, with a dad who was a MAGA guy, and this kid, and I haven't heard a bunch of stories about his background, but it didn't seem like he was super fringe.
But you also need to take, I'm glad you mentioned the family, because for that dad to turn his own kid in a state where I believe they have the death penalty, right? That was a guy that I don't know if he's still or is retired LEO. You know, he had a military law enforcement.
I didn't think he was.
I thought, well, it was either that or military.
Yeah.
It was something in the back. Anyway, my point
No.
is for that guy to take that stance and say, I have to turn in my own kid, knowing what fate might hold him in the near future, man, oh man, that took a set of, it was just, again, another thing where you're like, wow, that's courage, man, to be able to do that when it's your own child that you're turning in.
In a heartbeat, I would turn my kid in.
Well, you'd have to.
Yeah. It wouldn't be a question. I would hate it, and it would destroy me, right? Like it would destroy you.
100%.
But in one fraction of a heartbeat, I'd say, you did what? And I would call the cops on my kid. Not a question in my mind would I do that. And that's the ramifications they're going to have to live with, right? Because they did something wrong. Reaver's so interesting.
Let's take a break. That's Mike Fratelloni. My name is Chris Reavers. This is the Weekly Scramble, and we will be right back. I wanted to make a quick mention. We are talking about our friends at We Are Nuts and wearenutsmn.com. I got a great email, Mike, from our buddy Michael Burt. He says, hey guys, first of all, I just wanted to send a note of appreciation and gratitude for the cause that you have taken up for your company and listeners in supporting our Annunciation community. Every day brings new, unimaginable experiences of challenges as a dad. Yesterday at our suite, Harper, I always pronounce her last name wrong, and I'm so sorry, young Harper, Mayoskis and her funeral.
So Moskowitz?
Is it Moskowitz?
I don't know.
Okay, I'm so sorry, Harper. God bless your soul. Her funeral, who was a K-5, now a classmate and close friend of my daughter and Declan's nephew, and then back at it today down as a parent community down at the Capitol for the special session called For a High magazine assault rifle ban, and some of our parents testifying of the PTSD impacted on our 300-plus kids who hid under pews while 122 rounds were fired onto them in under 120 seconds. The biggest need remains to be the awareness and financial support to find a sustainable new formal for the kids, and you have provided both the past several weeks, and I hope in the road ahead. So thank you, and thank you, and thank you to both the Weekly Scramble and, of course, the Garage Logic podcast. That's Michael Burt. He's the chief nut and the owner of We Are Nuts, and help support our friends at We Are Nuts and wearenutsmn.com right now through the end of the month of September. 25% off at all Kowalski's markets and, of course, at Lunds and Barley's, and help support the Burt family and Annunciation as well, and you can continue to do so if you go to wearenutsmn.com. Michael?
Harper Moyski, Moyski. We don't want to mispronounce her sweet little 10-year-old name.
Yep. God rest your soul, Harper. It's just unspeakable, like we were talking about earlier. There's no really easy way to transition from this. However, we were talking just about, the Charlie Kirk situation, and of course this, and you want to think, at least I do anyway, and I don't know how you process stuff like this, but it's probably different for those that have kids that are on that same age. It's just like you just kind of want to unplug, right? Just give me a break. Let me watch a little football. Let me just go play catch or whatever. But you just want to kind of unplug. And that's why we were talking about social media in the first segment. I'm just thinking, you wonder, it's going to get better. It's not going to continue to get worse. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I kind of walk that fine line of, okay, I still have a job to do. Yeah. I'm still a dad. I'm still trying to do the right thing. I'm still trying to raise the right kind of kid. But it's hard not to be inundated by all of this stuff.
Yeah. Shakespeare wrote, heavy is the head that wears the crown.
For
right?
sure. Yeah.
And I think it's incumbent on people like you and me and Joe and Kenny and John and Rookie and all the guys that are on Garage Logic to put the pain of going through this aside and help people get through this stuff.
Yeah.
Help people with, I'm going to tell you, we're men and leaders. You got to do it. What are the alternatives? We can't bury our head in the sand.
So I was at I'll just put it this way. I was at a gathering on Friday, and I was just with a group of people, same age, right? And we were just talking about this, that, and the other thing. And of course, the news and everything comes up. And one of the parents, who I could tell, not that they were misinformed or dumb. I'm not saying that by any means, but they said this, and that's why I wanted to pull this up. They said, "Did you see that the guy that shot this Charlie Kirk guy was a huge Trump supporter?"
Yeah.
And I said, and I didn't say a word.
Yeah.
Didn't say a word. Because in those types of settings, Michael, you'll find this hard to believe because you know me as well as I do.
You don't want to argue, yeah.
No, I don't speak.
Sure.
I just sit there and listen. You know, I'm the guy on the podcast that doesn't really talk, and I'm just thinking, what in the sweet hell is this person talking about? And then I found it. So get this. An account with over 5 million followers on Twitter, or X, as this particular post says, posts a fake photo of suspect Tyler Robinson wearing a Trump shirt and quietly follows up in a thread with the actual photo. So this anonymous account posted this photo that's fabricated.
Sure.
The fake photo, which still has not been deleted, gets 400,000 impressions in less than an hour. And the real photo, the exact same photo with him not wearing the Trump shirt, gets less than 50,000. There appears to be a coordinated effort right now to spread as much fake information as possible to label the alleged Kirk assassin as a far-right Trump supporter. And that leads me back to what we pretty much started the show with, where, I am always on hyper aware, hyper alert of everything's fake now.
Sure.
Everything's fake.
Everything is fake.
You can't believe anything until you trust and verify 2, 3, 4 different times. And that's what led me to believe, oh my God, no wonder people and their algorithms are all just skewed one way or the other, right? Because you cannot believe with your own eyes anymore.
Yeah,
And
half the world half of us
And said,
saw the
"See?"
picture with him wearing the MAGA shirt or whatever it was, the Donald Trump shirt, and said, "See, it's a Trump fan killing Charlie Kirk." Half the world saw that reverse.
Yep.
And to change them, I just had lunch before I came here, and I have a beautiful friend that I've been friends with since I've been 16 years old. And he said, Charlie was kind of a fascist and a Nazi. And I said, what? What did the guy ever say that was fascistic or like a Nazi? And I said, where are you pulling that out of? What ass are you pulling that from? And I got pissed, right? Calmly pissed, because I know my buddy's not trying to poke me, and he's not going to do anything, and he's not far left, and he's not far right. And I just thought, where are you getting this? And then I had to go ahead and express to my two buddies that I was having lunch with, I went into this diatribe about what you're seeing online is 100% different than what I'm seeing. Yeah. And I don't, by the way, I'm not wrong on this one. I've watched Charlie Kirk videos for thousands of videos for a long time. And I haven't heard him do that. But I have that 100% belief that I'm right. But I haven't seen the other side. I haven't seen all the hate videos where Charlie, I did hear one where Charlie says, screams the word chink to somebody, says the word chink. And he's actually saying a guy's name, right? The guy's name is CENK. And they cut it up saying he was saying a derogatory Asian comment, but he was actually talking to a guy his name is CENK. Chank or Ch, I'm forgetting it exactly, right? And I thought, holy shit. Like, if I would have just seen that video, I would have said, Charlie, you can't say that. That's highly racist. Right. But he was saying the guy's name. And when you put it in context of realism, I'm like, what? But then I even questioned, like you just said, is that real? Or is that just totally fake? I don't think it is.
And that's the part that's so just discouraging, because we all think and inherently believe that, okay, well, I'm smart enough to decipher the good from the bad, from the indifferent, whatever. But the problem is we can't catch up fast enough to the rapid development of technology. And God knows what it's going to be like a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, where we're all going to slow down at some point, right? And to the point where I have to tell Joe and Pat, we just did Monday Night Sport. I go, guys, that's not real.
That's not real.
Did you see that? No, that's not. That's fake.
That's
but
fake.
Again, I don't blame them.
Sure.
It's because they're not, and I'm not. I'm old. I'm not catching up to a lot of that stuff that's artificial right now. And Lord help us in a couple of years when it's going to even be. Who knows what it's going to be?
That will be the social media that goes forward in my mind. Whoever can perfect this is AI generated. That's all they need to do is put a watermark across everything that's AI generated.
Yeah.
Then I can take a filter on my phone and say, I do not want to see AI generated images. Boom. Done.
Yeah.
Right? If it's not a real image or if it's not real, but who's going to, Elon Musk said this, we're not going to know what's real anymore.
Yeah.
We're not going to know.
Can I share you? So we had I got to tell you, man, of all of the shows we have ever done, and we've, 1,000, whatever the number is. In the years we've been working together, I don't think that I got as much reaction as I did from our show on Thursday last week, and a great positive reaction.
Sure.
And I was looking for an email that I wanted to read in reaction to that show, and I want to read that now. And again, there's. Let me just read this because it was very thoughtful, articulate, and I want to read this. This is from Jennifer, and she says, "Hey guys. Debate is supposed to be the foundation of our country. If that statement is true, and it is, that's precisely why the left wants political violence, up to and including assassinations of their opponents. Former President Obama told us that this was coming when he said that he was going to fundamentally change the country. The mystery says this country has been flawed from the time of the founding, and they want to undo it. If debate is our foundation, they cannot allow it. They do not want debate. They don't even necessarily want agreement. They want full acquiescence. You said a few days ago that Charlie Kirk wasn't so powerful that his words needed to be stopped. I have to disagree. He changed a lot of hearts and minds on college campuses across the country, and the young people who turned out for conversations in the last election are the result. True, not all of that is attributable to Charlie Kirk, but quite a bit of it is. He told budding conversations that were right when their colleges, high schools, and the media, and everybody else on the left was tearing them down. He gave them confidence in their own beliefs. Confidence is a powerful thing. The left could not allow that. And I'm losing my voice, and I'm sorry, Jennifer. I'm trying to do your email justice because it's a great email. The underbelly of America isn't just on the internet. It's on MSNBC, it's on CNN, it's in newspapers, it's in magazines, and it's also all across the nightly news. While the news media, isn't all awful, anybody who takes comments out of context to build a narrative, like you were just saying, Michael, is twisting reality for their own gain. This can be seen everywhere.
Literally everywhere.
The people who behave like a verbal dumpster fire were made that way by reading half-truths and downright lies in the media. One egregious example is the New York Times publishing and having then to retract the starving kids in Gaza photo of kids who weren't starving. They had genetic disorders. Look at what CBS did to Kristi Noem just a few weeks ago. By leaving out the entire statement, they changed the meaning of what she said. It changes the context. Just like Donald Trump and the fine people on both sides quote, if you listen for 2 more sentences, it changes everything. Yet that fine people quote is still there like it's the truth. Why? Because it was clipped and then hammered over and over. If a story is a little too perfect, it's probably not true. See Jussie Smollett. I've learned to go seek out the whole clip because it's almost never as it portrayed on national news. Bravo.
Perfectly done.
Bravo.
Perfectly said.
Jennifer, that's one of the best emails I've ever read from a listener.
Yeah.
Ever
Thank you,
read.
Jennifer.
I mean, and that's the thing, because the news outlets and those who are supposed to be informing the public, everyone has an agenda.
Got to get clicks,
and
Ravers.
most people are in it for what? For traffic, getting clicks,
It's money,
getting advertisers, increasing revenue. That's all people care about anymore. Look, okay, I don't think they'd mind me telling you this. Joe and Pat were just talking about newspapers as an industry. Most of it was off the air. Some of it was on the air. And the troubling aspect is a thing like the Star Tribune right now, which just agreed to move its publishing rights to a different state, where deadlines are now 3 p.m. for the next day's print edition. Think of that.
Sure.
That means they don't give a damn about the actual person that goes to a newsstand or subscribes to that particular publication anymore. They don't care about that. They just want to send people to their website, and they want clicks. That's all they want. So what are they going to publish? They're going to publish a biased-leaning a report of the actual factual news that took place. I'm sorry, my voice is hanging out for dear life.
But they have to. They have to. You don't make money in that industry unless you get the clicks now. You don't make money unless you drive 100,000 people to your site every day so you can play 100,000 ads for a gutter company, right? That's the only way you can make money in that industry anymore. You have to have the headlines that elicit some sort of emotional response. Otherwise, you're gone, right? You're just gone.
Yep. And that's, I guess, probably good for us in our show because this is where people will come. But that's the troubling part is so many people now are going to be guarded with what they choose to believe, what they choose to read, what they choose to see. And that's not going to create a better environment for anybody.
The way I net this down that I see in the future, Reavers, long format podcasts like us, where we can talk about a subject for an hour, right?
Yep.
And then localized, hyper localized news, like professionally televised news, where you can get closer to, not news, national news, where they have to tell you about there's a storm off the coast of Africa that's going to kill. That's not the news we need. Hyper localized news, news channels that show up at the state fair, right? That's what will be real and something to people. I truly believe it's coming back to that.
Can I flip the script on you?
Sure.
Because I have something for you.
You do. Okay, let's do it.
Michael, normally this is your opportunity to enlighten my listening, but I want to do this to you today. This is my special little gift for you.
Oh, good. You got something.
Did you know that booty and butt are synonyms?
I did not.
Yes, booty and butt are synonyms. Did you also know that call and dial are synonyms? Call and dial are synonyms. However, booty call and butt dial are two very different things.
Reavers, you are the best.
I knew you would love that. I actually saw that over the weekend and said, I'm sending that to myself because I'm going to tell that to Michael next week. His name is Mike Fredoloni. My name is Chris Reavers. Honestly, GLers and Weekly Scramble listeners, I can't tell you how great it was to read all of your reaction from our shows, and it really does make my world a better place. So thank you so very much for reaching out and emailing. It truly does make a difference. His name is Mike Fredoloni. My name is Chris Reavers. This has been the Weekly Scramble Podcast. Rate and review the show wherever you happen to be listening. It helps others find it, and it helps us out as well. Thank you so very much. We'll talk to you again next time. Until then, cheers.